Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very much appreciate the opportunity to chime in on the subject at hand. You know, in 2021, one of the first things we did in this committee, Mr. Chairman, you may recall, was pass the Drinking Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Act, which became the foundation for the bipartisan infrastructure law. Especially proud that the bill included provisions that it had championed to bolster water reuse and stormwater management, replace lead service lines, and to prioritize technical assistance. Mr. Goulet, you just spoke to this a minute ago, technical assistance for small systems that oftentimes struggle to be able to provide that for themselves. And I'm proud that the committee's bipartisan efforts became the largest single federal investment in water infrastructure in history. Thanks to the IIJA, small water systems in Tulare County, for example, Senator Schiff, you and I both represent Tulare County, California, they can now treat pervasive contaminants in drinking water. Farm worker communities like those in Pajaro, who can now rebuild their water systems after historic storms left the town completely underwater. And the community of Colusa was able to install water meters and fire hydrants to prepare for inevitable western drought conditions. Whether they face fire, floods, or droughts, or aging infrastructure and emerging contaminants, water systems and the customers they serve are now facing more than $1.2 trillion in infrastructure needs over the next 2 decades. And as the witnesses today know better than most, ratepayers will bear the brunt of those costs, especially in small communities, rural communities, and tribal communities, because by nature they have much smaller rate bases. Now, many rural communities, including the tribal communities, farm worker communities that I've spoken of, and communities near sites of legacy industrial contaminants, end up paying twice in reality. Once for the contaminated water that's flowing through their pipes, and once again for the much costlier bottled water that they are forced to rely on. It's hard to believe that in Fresno County, a typical family has to pay $280 a month for water that fails to comply with our clean drinking water standards. It's one of the reasons I've been pushing for years for a permanent national water assistance program, just like we do for energy bills. So my question, frankly, is for all of you, starting with Ms. Dreyfus-Wells, as we examine the different ways to improve administration of the SRFs, bolster technical assistance, how could a permanent water systems program help cushion the impact of infrastructure upgrades for water systems and the people that they serve?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, very important to make sure that we bring all of our customers along with us. And as you point out, low-income water assistance is very important to make sure that those folks that do have difficulty paying their bills have the support to be able to pay their bills. I will say that at the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District, our leadership has taken this seriously since 2009. We've had our own affordability programs, and we work very hard to make sure that we connect eligible customers with those programs, which is another significant barrier. So low-income household water assistance is important to make sure that you bring all of your customers along with you and can keep the costs low for your utility across all of your ratepayers.
I'd like to hear from each of you, yes.
And to go along with that, many small communities already stretch their dollars. They're being forced to shelve projects just to make the ends meet. We don't want them to become more disadvantaged because they feed us into other systems, other programs. So, you know, keeping the rates competitive while making them reasonably desirable and affordable, I think that's the key.
Yeah, I think those types of programs are incredibly important. I know they lessen the burden of regulatory authorities by providing technical and financial assistance to these smaller communities. We have many regional systems that do these programs on their own that try to give back and make water more affordable, but it's a very big challenge for them. So I know the federal funding has made huge impact for our systems.
And just a follow-up question for you, Mr. Oswald. Correct me if I'm wrong, but federal investment in water infrastructure has declined, if my numbers are correct, by 77% since their peak in the 1970s, right? The federal government's share in new infrastructure upgrades, let alone operations and maintenance, that's a whole nother conversation. How critical is federal investment in water infrastructure for supporting water affordability?
Well, it's incredibly important. I mean, it offsets ratepayer expenses. It can make more efficient investment across the board in drinking water, but it has to be followed up. You know, we've got this incredible investment in infrastructure. We need to make sure we maintain that investment as well and not ignore it as we go into the future, or we're going to be facing this problem again in 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.